Think you know space? You don't. Half the stuff you learned is basically cosmic fake news, from exploding astronauts to the sun being yellow. Let's ruin your childhood in 10 easy steps. This one's been passed around like cosmic gossip. The Great Wall is so massive, you can see it from space. Reality check. Nope. Astronauts up there say it's basically invisible without magnification. The wall is long, sure, but it's thinner than your phone charger cord compared to the rest of Earth. What they actually can see from orbit: giant glowing cities at night, massive rivers, entire coastlines, and occasionally your neighbor's backyard swimming pool if it's obnoxiously turquoise. The Great Wall? It blends right into the landscape like camouflage pants at a barbecue. It's a great engineering feat, but from space, it's just a brick-colored squiggle. Honestly, if you were in orbit, you'd be too busy trying not to redecorate the cabin with astronaut vomit to play Spot the Ancient Masonry. If this cosmic game of Where's Waldo let you down, don't worry. The sun's about to ruin your childhood too. Since kindergarten, we've all been drawing the sun as a giant yellow smiley face. It's practically a law, except it's wrong. The sun isn't yellow, it's white. A blinding, burn your retinas white. The yellow is just Earth's atmosphere messing with us, scattering away the bluer wavelengths so what we see looks warmer. Think of it like Instagram filters. Our planet slaps a Valencia filter on the sun every single day. If you could step onto the moon and look at it with your own eyeballs, not recommended unless you enjoy permanent blindness, it would be crisp white, like the world's angriest spotlight. All those sunsets you swooned over? That's just sunlight struggling through more atmosphere until it turns fiery red. The sun isn't a lemon, it's basically a giant nuclear flashlight. And while that's a fun reality check, let's head to the ultimate cosmic drama queens: black holes. Spoiler, they're not the vacuum cleaners of space. Movies make black holes look like galactic shop vacs, hoovering up stars, planets, and your will to live. But here's the truth bomb: they only pull things in if you get too close. Gravity doesn't care about drama. If our sun magically became a black hole of the same mass, terrifying thought, Earth would keep orbiting exactly as it does now, just darker, colder, and very end credits. Black holes don't go hunting. They're not cosmic predators. They just sit there, minding their own terrifying business until something wanders across their event horizon. That's when spaghettification happens. Yes, the scientific term literally sounds like Olive Garden's worst marketing idea. Outside that zone, a black hole is just heavy. In fact, stars and even entire solar systems orbit around them peacefully. So no, they're not universal vacuum cleaners. They're more like a bad neighbor. Fine at a distance, a nightmare if you get too close. But speaking of floating around, let's bust the no gravity myth. People see astronauts floating and assume, no gravity. Wrong, gravity is everywhere. The ISS is just 400 kilometers above Earth, where gravity is still 90% as strong as down here. The reason astronauts float isn't because gravity stopped working. It's because they're falling, constantly, forever. The ISS is in a perpetual nosedive around Earth, but it's moving sideways so fast, 28,000 kilometers per hour, that it keeps missing the ground. That's orbit, the world's deadliest game of ring around the planet. Astronauts look like they're defying physics, but really, they're trapped in a very elegant fall. Without gravity, the ISS wouldn't orbit. It would just wander off into deep space like a lost balloon at a kid's birthday party. So, no, space isn't a gravity-free playground. It's gravity with flair. And if gravity is everywhere, what's actually in the emptiness of space? Time to break the myth of the cosmic nothingness vacuum. Space is a perfect vacuum. Sounds poetic. Also completely wrong. Even in the emptiest interstellar voids, there are still particles. Hydrogen atoms, helium, cosmic dust, high-energy protons, just sprinkled really, really thin. It's less empty and more the saddest soup imaginable. On average, you might find a few atoms in a cubic centimeter. Doesn't sound like much, but slam into them at near light speed, and you've basically invented the universe's most expensive sandblaster. On top of that, you've got electromagnetic fields, cosmic rays, plasma streams. Basically, space is cluttered with invisible junk. It's the opposite of perfect nothing. So no, astronauts aren't floating through a sterile void. They're wading through a faint mist of atoms, radiation, and the occasional death particle. Think less clean, empty box, more cosmic dust bunny zone. Speaking of dust bunnies, let's talk about the moon's so-called dark side, because spoiler, it's not living in eternal shadow. Thanks Pink Floyd, but the moon doesn't have a permanent dark side. What it does have is a far side, the half that never faces Earth because it's tidally locked. Both halves still get 2 weeks of daylight and 2 weeks of night. So while the near side shows us familiar features like the Sea of Tranquility, the far side has its own mountains, craters, and yes, sunrises. In fact, the far side is brighter in some places because it doesn't have the massive dark lava plains our side does. People think it's always dark because we never see it, but in reality, it gets just as much sun, just not our view. The only thing dark about it is your chance of cell reception. So no, the far side isn't a cosmic cave, it's just camera shy. But if you ever do visit, make sure you bring a spacesuit, or myth number 7 will wreck you. Ah yes, the Hollywood classic. Astronaut helmet cracks, body explodes like a balloon animal. Fun visual, completely false. Your skin is surprisingly durable. Instead of popping, you'd slowly puff up like an overinflated marshmallow. Here's the play-by-play. No pressure means the water in your tissues boils at body temperature, so your blood and saliva start fizzing like soda. Your lungs? They'd rupture if you tried to hold your breath. You'd be unconscious in about 15 seconds from oxygen loss. After about a minute or two, it's game over. Though if someone dragged you back into a pressurized chamber fast enough, you might survive with serious trauma. Not exactly a spa treatment, but hey, you wouldn't explode. Space kills you, but it prefers the slow, creative methods. Call it a cosmic sadist. But if you're drifting out there, where exactly are you drifting toward? Surely there's a center of it all, right? Wrong. This one feels logical. If the universe is expanding, it must have a center. Nope. The Big Bang didn't happen in one spot and spread outward. It happened everywhere all at once. Space itself expanded, and it still is. Think of blowing up a balloon. Every dot on the surface sees every other dot moving away, but none of them are the center. The actual center is outside the surface entirely. Our three-dimensional universe works the same way. Every galaxy sees all others receding, but there's no central hub. Asking for the universe's center is like asking for the middle of the ocean. It depends entirely on where you're standing, and ultimately, it doesn't exist. The universe is both everywhere and nowhere. Philosophical, right? Also, super annoying if you like neat answers, but if there's no center, at least we've got our galaxy to brag about. Except it's not the biggest one out there. We love our galaxy, it's home, but biggest? Not even close. The Milky Way spans about 100,000 light years with a few 100 billion stars. Cool flex. Then Andromeda shows up, double the size with over 1 trillion stars, and that's not even the top dog. Monsters like IC 1101 stretch over 6 million light years across with 100 trillion stars. That's like comparing a Costco warehouse to an entire continent. Our galaxy isn't even mid. It's basically the galactic equivalent of a nice suburban neighborhood. Sure, it's got some decent schools and a black hole downtown, but there are galaxies out there that make ours look like a dollhouse. Humbling, huh? And if that didn't knock you down a peg, here's the kicker. Even those monster galaxies are temporary, because the universe, it doesn't sit still. Which brings us to our final myth. For centuries, people believed the cosmos was eternal, peaceful, and unchanging. Even Einstein once fudged math to keep it stable. Reality, it's chaos. The universe is expanding. galaxies collide, stars are born, stars die, black holes throw tantrums, and space itself stretches like cheap yoga pants. The night sky looks timeless, but it's not. It's a Polaroid of a demolition derby. Constellations will be unrecognizable in 100,000 years. Our galaxy will slam into Andromeda in a few billion, and eventually even the stars will burn out, leaving a dark, frozen husk. The universe isn't eternal. It's an ongoing cosmic train wreck, and we just happen to be watching one frame of it. So when someone sighs, "The stars are forever," feel free to say, "Actually, Karen, the stars are on a ticking clock." Romantic? Nope. Accurate? Absolutely.